We're now going to look at the use of practice exams to prepare for the PMP exam. Now we'll talk about how to take advantage of the practice exams and simulations, and then also how to develop a test-taking strategy. After you've reviewed all of the material for the exam, take one of the short practice tests to give you a quick evaluation of your readiness for the exam. In ProProfs, you can use the flexible mode to bring up a random selection of 50 questions. There are other online exams that allow you to target a specific process group or knowledge area. During the practice test, use the brain dump. Again, perform the brain dump before you read or answer any questions. Then use only the brain dump to help you with the exam. Try to work from memory without referring to the course manual, PMBOK, or any other resources. Only use the brain dump. Check your correct answers. Make sure you understand why you got questions right and why you got questions wrong. In your later study sessions, use this information about your areas of weakness and continue to take these short practice tests in order to build your confidence over time. When you feel ready, that is, you've studied all the material and you've taken at least one short practice test, you're feeling good, now try the full exam simulation. You will need to dedicate 4 uninterrupted hours to do an actual exam simulation. Most exam simulations include a built-in timer. For example, the exam mode in ProProfs times out after 4 hours. Before answering the questions, perform your brain dump. And then use only the brain dump for reference during the exam. You should also practice what it's like to take breaks during the exam. For example, get up, stretch, have a snack, use the restroom. During the exam, any breaks have to take place within the 4-hour time limit. Plan to take a full-length simulation 2 to 3 times, but do not take it more than 4 times, because the more you repeat the simulation, the more likely you are to see the same questions repeated, and then the results will not be as effective. PMI does not publicize the passing score for the PMP exam. It's actually a mystery. As a rule of thumb, aim for a score of 80% on your tests and exam simulations. This is probably higher than the actual passing exam. If you can consistently hit that 80% mark, you should be able to pass the exam. The results for the PMP exam do not give you your score. It's basically pass-fail, but you will get 3 relative ratings for each of the 5 process groups. The highest rating is proficient, next is moderately proficient, and the lowest rating is below proficient. Now, if you get a below proficient rating on one process group, you can probably still pass. These ratings give you helpful feedback in case you need to retake the exam, and then you will know which areas to concentrate on with additional study. However, most of the practice exams do not provide these ratings by process group. In the exam scoring, all questions carry the same weight towards your passing score. Also, there's no deduction or penalty for wrong answers. In other words, it's worth guessing even if you're not sure of the answer to a question. Any skipped questions will lower your score. And even if you guess blindly, you'll have at least a 25% chance of getting the right answer. Usually you can eliminate 1 or 2 answers, and that will improve your odds if you're guessing. The important thing is, do not leave any questions unanswered or blank. Here are some general strategies. First, read the question and the multiple choices. Then, read the question again and make sure you understand what the question is really about before you select the answer. Then, answer the question. There are 4 choices for each question, and they are usually defined by a correct answer, an obviously wrong answer, another wrong answer, and a not quite correct answer. Try to figure out which is which and select the best answer from the available choices. Use a process of elimination to identify the obviously wrong answer and other wrong answers. If you can identify which process group and which knowledge area is the context for a question, you can narrow it down, and it will help you to eliminate incorrect answers and identify the correct answer. Make sure that a question really requires calculations or diagramming before you take the time to do this work. Unnecessary time with calculations and diagrams will reduce your efficiency. Use your brain dump and refer to it for the process map and formulas. Pay special attention for the trick questions and try to avoid any landmines there. Finally, answer every question, even if you need to guess. If you're unsure of the answer to the first 1 or 2 questions, don't get discouraged. Just skip ahead until you find a question where you're confident about the answer, and then try to build momentum from the questions that you can answer. Skip any challenging questions that will slow you down. You can come back to them later. If you've narrowed down the choices but are unsure that you have the right answer, make a guess. Then mark the question and come back to it later. You can use your scratch paper to mark down the question number and what you're uncertain about. Then when you return to it, you'll know why you marked that question, and you may have a better perspective on how to give the correct answer. Try to identify the types of questions that you find especially challenging. On the exam, skip them on the first pass and then come back to them later. The types of questions you might want to skip and return to are calculations, diagrams, multi-part questions, those questions with the long expositions, and experience-based questions. You'll also need to pace yourself and keep your eye on the timer on screen. We reviewed the use of practice tests and exam simulations, as well as the factors to develop a test-taking strategy.